So we want to make these action buttons here work. We want to be able to deal damage and to heal ourselves. That will involve a bit more code since this really is our core logic of this game. But let's start simple by hooking up these buttons to events or to event listeners. In my HTML code, here are the buttons, and of course I want to add listeners with the add or v-on syntax, whatever you prefer. So I want to listen to a click event here, and here I want to execute the attack method. For special attack, I also want to listen to click and execute special attack. I will have to create all these methods here, of course. For heal, I want to execute heal, unsurprisingly. And you guessed it, what I want to execute here for give up. Give up, even though we never give up, do we? So this is the click listener part. Next, I want to create these functions in my app.js file. So here, in the methods object, I add the attack function like this. Then I add the special attack function like this. I also want to add the heal function here. And let's add the give up function. These are the 4 functions we can execute through these buttons. Now let's think about which logic belongs into these functions. In attack, we want to deal damage to the monster. The monster also, in each of these cases except for give up, also deals damage to us. So we want to deal damage to the monster in attack, get damage, and then kind of, end the turn. Or simply be finished with that. In special attack it's the same, but we want to do more damage. And in heal, we want to heal ourselves instead of deal damage. And in give up, we want to reset and restart the game or start a new game. How do we do that? Let's start at the top with attack here. The first thing is that we need to calculate the damage we deal. So I create a new variable called damage here. And damage shall be a random number. Now we also want to control the highest and lowest possible damage. So how could we do this? We could create, or we can generate a random number with math random, but this will be between 0 and 1, 1 excluded. So this is not what we want. We want to have a maximum damage. So let's create max here. And let's set it to 10, for example. We also will set up a minimum damage min, which is 3. Now, since math random is between 0 and 1, we should multiply it with max to now be between 0 and, 10, but 10 excluded, so 9.999. It's a floating point number. So this is still not what we want. We want to have an integer, 10 included, not excluded. To get there, I will wrap this in parentheses, and I will get the floor of that with the math floor function where I pass this random number between 0 and 9,99999. Now we have a random number, an integer number between 0 and 9. Well, if I add 1 here, we got one between 1 and 10, so we're almost there, but I said I want to have a minimum damage of 3 and not 1. So in order to do this, I will use the math max function to get the maximum number, and that either is my random number here or the minimum. So if my random number is 1 or 2, then we'll take the minimum, 3. Otherwise, we'll take the random number. So with that, we get a random number between 3 and 10. That's some general arithmetic, nice to know anyways, I guess. So this is the random damage I want to deal here. And also I will use a similar calculation for the monster damage. So here for this random damage, I then want to take the monster health and reduce it by this damage we dealt. Now, of course, the monster also shall damage to us here. And therefore, we basically need to run the same logic for the monster. Now, let's say the monster should have a little edge on us and should deal more damage. So for that, we might set max back to, or change it to 12 and min to 5. And then here, I'll recalculate the damage based on that. And then I can say this player health is reduced by damage. Now clearly we're repeating ourselves here. We have a lot of duplicate code, so we should refactor this and outsource it in different functions. But before doing so, let's see if this generally works. If I save this and I reload my application and start a new game, now let's click attack. It should change. So let's see here in the index.html, yeah, that should be attack, not attach. Let's see, the other command should be right. So with that, reloading should now correctly reduce the health. Now let's reduce the health, and it seems like we're losing, which is not too surprising because we would require a lot of luck since the monster has a higher minimum and maximum damage. So let's continue and lose our battle, and we're dead. And nothing happens, we're getting a negative health here now. So the app is not working how it should. We also need to check if we're winning or not. So the next tasks are refactoring this code and checking if we're losing or not. Let's implement this check first so that we can correctly recognize if we're dead or not. How do we check if we're dead? Well, after we dealt damage to the monster, we want to check if we won. And after the monster dealt damage to us, we want to check if the monster won. So let's start here. If the monster health here is smaller or equal to 0, then we won. So here we want to output alert for now, you won, like this. We also, let's say, want to set game is running to false again. I'll change this later on, but for now this is all I want. Also, I don't want to execute the code down there. The monster shouldn't deal damage to us because we won, the game is over. So I'll return here to finish this function, exit out of it. The same is true after the monster dealt damage to us. Here we want to check if the player health is smaller or equal to 0, in which case we would have lost. And now the game is also over, and we don't need a return here. There is no code after that. So with that, if I reload this, start a new game, and we'll lose again, you see now we got you lost. And correctly, the game is reset, and we can start a new one here. So that already works. Now, we got even more to refactor now, because we are also kind of repeating this code here, and we will have to copy this checking here if we lost or won into each of the following functions here, where we have a special attack and heal. So it's definitely time to refactor our code and create some new functions for checking the win condition and calculating the damage.